Retro Monster Walk Level 1. With the Retro Monster Walk Level 1 exercise, what you want to do is first have your feet perfectly parallel. So as you can see, Dr. Gabby has her feet perfectly parallel. They're both facing straight. Then she of course has her knees or the patella tendon in line with the second and third toe. And then next we're going to have a neutral pelvic position, spine upright, and the knees are bent so they're flexed to about 30 degrees. So let's come back to the starting position. So her feet are parallel, her pelvis is neutral. And so what you want to know is that if you have more of an excessive anterior pelvic tilt like this, typically, you're going to want to go more towards a posterior pelvic tilt position, because as soon as you start loading those glutes, it's going to draw you into this anterior pelvic tilt position again. So you have to really focus on that. If you have more of a naturally posterior pelvic tilt position, you're going to want to go a little more towards anterior to maintain again the goal of neutral pelvic position. Then you'll begin stepping posterior lateral. Posterior lateral meaning backwards and to the side. So not just backwards and not just to the side, but kind of both happening at the same time. So let's go with the left leg first. Good, so she's posterior lateral and then she's squaring up. Now what I'm seeing from here and the way you want your body aligned is you're going to want to have your knees perfectly aligned with the second and third toe. And when you step, you're not going to want to step and then let this happen, knee valgus, where the knee's coming inside. You're going to want to keep that knee perfectly aligned, step back and load, pelvis square, and then continue stepping. Yeah, so you're making sure all those mechanics are happening. Continue stepping. Good. Continue stepping. Good. Continue stepping. Awesome. Done. So in your exercise, you're going to keep all those things in perfect alignment while you're doing consecutive reps, whatever your prescribed dosage is. That might be 15 reps on each side. So you're going to do a lot of reps walking backwards. Some common sense, of course, should also be applied here, making sure that your pathway is clear. You're not going to trip and fall over anything or end up in a dangerous situation by doing an exercise in a backwards walking position. For fitness doctor practitioners, it's important to know how to control another compensation that happens. So one of those compensations, right, is knee valgus that can happen with clients who have a lot of knee adduction. But the other major thing that happens is when a client begins to get fatigued, they'll elevate one side pelvis before they step. So they'll elevate one side, yes, they'll do exactly this. They'll elevate one side of the pelvis. They'll start compensating with the quadratus lumborum in kind of lateral lumbar spinal flexion to the left side to then pick up the left and carry it off and over into the step. Go ahead. Yeah, so they'll do that instead of actually controlling with the glutes. So what you'd want to have, go ahead and square up your feet. So then what you'd want to have happen is the pelvis is going to stay perfectly square. You don't want the client to shift, of course, like this. Shift the pelvis up to then go ahead and take the right step. You want to keep that pelvis totally level and square here and then step with your right side. Yes, good. Square up, step with your left, square up. Good. So when your client's doing this exercise, watch them from the posterior view also and make sure that that pelvis is staying level. Very common compensation for someone with a weak glute medius is to do that Trendelenburg position before they step. Go ahead and watch for that. Cue your client both verbally and physically to correct that. So fitness doctor practitioners, if your client's having trouble with this exercise, if they're off with knee adduction, if they're off with their feet, if they're off with their pelvis, if they're off with multiple things at the same time, which is very possible to happen, have them start this exercise without the band. Have them just go ahead and do this exercise. Once you've taught them how to do it and gone through all the steps, do it without the band. Go ahead and just do the motion. This can be applied to any exercise. Use no load to get the motion and the angles and the pelvis and the knees and all the things that you're looking for to happen with your client. Awesome. Go ahead and have them do it with no load first.